Today I'm gonna make the ultimate Armguard. This is our #1 selling Armguard and possibly, or you could say ultimately, the most comfortable Armguard in the world. That's not necessarily a verifiable fact, but some say so. Today I'm gonna walk you through how I make the ultimate Armguard. The first thing is to get the leather and cut it out. So I'll grab the template of the piece we are going to stamp, and I'm just gonna make a couple marks here so that I can clicker press out these dies nice and easily. The reason the Ultimate Armguard is so comfortable is because it uses this real thin leather so that it can be made out of 3 pieces of leather instead of 1. Now, 1 can be comfortable, but when you've got 3, what happens is over time it molds to your arm, and this makes it extremely comfortable because after you use it for a while, it shapes perfectly to the size of your wrist. Now that our leather is cut out, it's time to cut out our pieces. Now I use these dies with a clicker press to cut them out. It just makes it so much faster when you're making a lot of product. So I'm going to use 3 different dies here. That was the top piece. The second piece here is the very bottom piece. And the next piece will be the middle piece, which has nodes in it, or also known as holes. This die saves a lot of time. They're more expensive when you get holes in them, but it's well worth the savings in time. Here I'm just going to make 1 arm guard, although normally I might batch out 10, 20, 30, whatever it is, just because it's faster that way to produce them. I'm going to glue the first 2 bottom pieces together with keeping in mind to not glue all the way out to the edges. This is where our straps will tuck in underneath later on, making it ultimately, possibly, the most comfortable armguard in the world. Our top piece will go on top just like so, but before we do that, we need to edge paint the sides just to give it a nice clean look. This isn't functionally gonna change anything, it's just ultimately, I need to shut up and stop saying that. It's just gonna make it a nice arm guard. Now that the edge paint has dried, it's time to glue on the 3rd piece. Now, glue is generally used just to hold things in place until you sew them together. In this case, I am not fully convinced that you need to scratch this bottom piece. I've tried it both ways before and did not notice any difference. In this case, I went ahead and scratched it. It's kind of fun, but I'm not fully convinced this part's necessary. Without roughing up the bottom surface, the glue holds it just fine, and you still get a great arm guard. The key here is just to make sure that the glue stays within the area that the top piece goes on. That way there's not squeeze out, because once it squeezes out and dries, it's pretty hard to clean up along that crack without scratching the leather. Now once the glue dries, well, it's time to trim up the sides and then we'll head on to the sewing machine. I go ahead and turn on the heat stamp now so that it can get up to temperature. It normally takes about 2 to 3 minutes as I head over to sew the piece. These are my templates for the different products. That way it can be a consistent and even stamp every time. So I grab the Ultimate Armguard stamp and get it secured in place. Now it's time to sew. Sewing can be done on a sewing machine or hand sewing. A sewing machine is the time saver of the world, and it's actually a quite therapeutic and fun process, so I'll let you enjoy this. Now that the piece is sewed up, it's time to trim the threads and head over to the heat press. This is simple. 275 is the proper temperature for this type of leather, and we're just gonna stamp it down for about a second and release, and bada bing, bada boom. Shatterproof archery. This part's quite fun as well. We're gonna use some more edge paint to just finish out the edges. The biggest key here is to watch out for splatter. It's really easy to splatter the stuff around when you go really fast. And if you do, it's no problem. You just wanna wipe it off the finished surfaces before it dries. Again, that edge paint just gives it a nice clean look in the end, and it just finishes out the product. It's kind of like trim in a house, I think. It just really makes it look like a finished professional product. I'll use these popsicle sticks to separate the two flaps so that as the edge paint dries, it doesn't hold those two pieces together. Then we'll grab our polypropylene bungee shock cord. This is my preferred way to strap down the arm guard to the arm. And we'll also grab some rivets and lace hooks. Polypropylene cord will be cut to a 36-inch length, and then we just gotta fish the rivets through and add the lace hooks and press them tight. We'll comfortably slide our shock cord through our pre-stamped holes and just tie knots. This allows us to change the length of the cord depending on the size of your arm, so that this arm guard can fit nearly anybody, because you can snug it way down to a child, or you can make it as big as you would like. So unless you're the Hulk, this arm guard will most likely fit you. And that's almost it, but not quite, because we gotta clean this thing up. So I just use some saddle soap to really get the dust off the leather, just for nice presentation. And we quickly slide it onto the arm. And that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you want to see next. I'll see you guys later.